Hey guys, welcome to my channel. Today we're taking a look at an emergency fire blanket. This is one of those items that you hope you never have to use, but it's reassuring to have around just in case you do need it. It can be for cooking, for electrical fires, or if you're out camping and there's a wildfire coming your way. So today we're going to take a closer look at this, see what it can do, and hopefully never have to use it. We're taking a look at the Safety First Hero Emergency Fire Blanket. This is rated for up to 300 degrees Fahrenheit, so can withstand really high heat and extinguish fires pretty effectively. The idea behind these is really simple. You don't want to put water on a grease fire, and you can't use a traditional fire extinguisher for certain types of fires, like if something is electrical or if you out camping and there's a fire going on outside. In those cases, you would use this. It's basically smothering the fire, so you're cutting off oxygen and removing that fuel source so the fire can't continue. These are made from fiberglass, so they're not going to melt or burn. And the nice thing about them is they're reusable. Unlike a fire extinguisher, once you've used this, you can clean it off and use it again. Now this particular one is 48 by 60 inches, so it's pretty large. They do make smaller ones if you wanted to get one just for your kitchen, but this size would be great for a garage or outside, or if you wanted to cover larger appliances. It does come with this nice little storage case, which has a Velcro closure. It's good for keeping it organized, keeping it clean. When you buy it, it does have a little bit of a chemical smell to it, but once you wash it, that goes away. We're going to take a closer look at the blanket itself. It does have some labels on here. The instructions for how to use it, how to wash it, things like that. It also has a label for the care instructions. Do not bleach, tumble dry on low, all the important care tips. The actual blanket itself feels pretty soft, kind of like a woven polypropylene bag that you would get at the grocery store. And these are actually made in the USA, which is always a plus. If you do end up using this, and there's any sort of residue on it, they do recommend that you wash it in cold water with some sort of mild detergent and then tumble dry it on low. The intended use for this is in case of a fire, obviously, but beyond that, there's other uses for it as well. One that they mention is if you camping and there's a wildfire, or if you live in an area where wildfires are common, you can use this to cover your car in case you need to abandon it quickly. You could also use this in the event of an explosion to help contain that, or if you work in a lab and there's some sort of chemical spill or fire, this could be used for that. There's a lot of different reasons why you might need something like this. And while hopefully you'll never have to use it, it's nice to have one around just in case. Now let's talk about how to use it. Pretty simple. Basically, you just want to throw it over the flames. That's it. You don't want to put water on a grease fire. And in fact, putting water on a grease fire can actually spread that fire. You don't want to use a traditional fire extinguisher because if it's an electrical fire or something else that you can't put water on, that won't work either. In those cases, this is what you would want to use. When it comes to cooking, we all know the old saying, never leave the kitchen unattended while you're cooking. But even if you're in the kitchen, sometimes accidents happen. A fire can start in a matter of seconds, and it can get out of control really fast. This is a way that you can potentially stop that fire before it gets out of control and spreads. Once you have this, it's a good idea to hang it somewhere where you can reach it easily. They make some nice little holders that you can mount this to, put it right next to your stove. That way, if you do need it, you can get to it very quickly. So I thought it'd be fun to do a little experiment and try to start a grease fire. So we're going to go ahead and get that oil up to temperature. We're going to use a thermometer to make sure it's hot enough. When you're trying to start a grease fire, you want to get that oil between 350 and 400 degrees Fahrenheit. So we're almost there. We're going to turn the heat off, and we're just going to let it cool down a second. And now we're going to use a paper towel, and we're going to touch it to the pan. See, it catches on fire immediately. Now I'm going to take the blanket and just try to smother the flames. Okay, so it looks like the fire is out. We're going to take the pan off the heat and just check to make sure that everything is okay. There's still a little bit of smoke coming off that. So we're going to go ahead and put the blanket back over it and just wait until it stops smoking. So once that stops smoking, we're going to go ahead and take the blanket off. Just for good measure, I'm going to take the little tab off and just make sure that there's no flames underneath there. Now, if you were going to use this for something like a wildfire or a fire outside, obviously you're going to have to use more than just a 4 by 6 foot blanket like this. This was just to show you how it works on a small scale. If you needed to use this for something bigger, you would need more of these blankets to cover a larger area. Now that we've seen how it works, let's answer some frequently asked questions about this. How long will this last? Well, it depends on what you're putting it out. Obviously, if it's a larger fire, It's going to go out faster than if it's a small grease fire on the stove. For a small grease fire, it should be able to smother that fire pretty effectively. How often do you need to replace these? Well, since this is reusable, you don't need to replace it unless it gets damaged. If you use it and it's still in good shape, you can keep using it. Can you wash this? Yes, you can wash it. It's recommended that you wash it in cold water with a mild detergent, and then you can tumble dry it on low. Can you cut this? This is fiberglass, so it's not going to melt if you cut it, but if you cut it, it's going to fray just like any other fabric would. So you wouldn't want to cut this unless you absolutely had to. What if it catches on fire? Well, this is rated for up to 300 degrees Fahrenheit, so it's not going to catch on fire when you're reusing it for its intended purpose. Can you use this for a bonfire? Not really. A bonfire puts off a lot of radiant heat. And while this can withstand a lot of heat, it's not meant for that. It's really meant for putting out fires, not containing them. So for something like a bonfire, you probably would need more of these to make a barrier. This isn't really meant for that. It's meant for putting out fires. So I think this is a really interesting product. I've never heard of anything like this before. It seems like it could be really useful to have around just in case something ever happens. I think I'm going to hang this next to my stove just in case there's ever a grease fire. It's much better than having a fire extinguisher around or trying to use water when those aren't effective. This is a way that you can smother the fire and hopefully put it out. Well, that's all for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you for watching.